We are Gathering of the Geeks, a podcast and YouTube show built around the things we as geeks all love. Hashtag we gather on Sundays. Thank you for checking out the one about critiquing critics. I am one of your hosts, Emmet, and I'm joined by the lead tasso to my coach, Chris Evans. Chris, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Gathering of the Geeks is available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. All you have to do is search for Gathering of the Geeks, and you will find us right there. What's up, Eric? What's up, Cookie? How's you guys doing on this fine Sunday evening? Chris, you calm, you cool, collected, ready to get into this show?
Mm-hmm. Good to
go. Okay, so I had a thought earlier this week about something that I noticed was happening online and something I've often thought about, and that was, kind of movie, TV shows, reviews. And I wanted to kind of have a conversation with you, and I'd love some people in the comments if they wanted to join in as well. Like, what makes a movie or TV critic? The question I ask is, are you and I critics because we talk about TV shows and movies and we tell you whether or not we like them or not? How does one become a critic? If you write for or make videos for or talk about movies and you get paid for it, does that make you a critic? I more or less, I want to understand the importance of a critic as well, is another thought that I had, and why they matter and if they're a good thing. So I have a bunch of ideas and places I want to take this, Chris. But where do you land on the idea of, what is a critic? How do you get labeled as a critic?
I just came up with that.
Yeah.
That's a good question. I think that for me, when I think critic, I think person who is paid to give their opinion or published somewhere. Like two of our very good friends, Nico and Zeddy, or Nick Zednick, for those of you who may not be familiar with his nickname. I always forget he has a name.
Yeah, she's the real person as far as I can tell.
Right, he's a real person. It's not just Eddie. They are part of the Chicago Critics thing now, so they are published critics at this point, and they get to go to the screenings and whatnot and do all that stuff, which is a badass for them. It's really cool, and to me, that's a real critic. Whereas we just kind of bullshit about stuff. That's kind of the way I look at it. You know what I mean? I don't know though, because then you think about, well, there's layers to it. Is it just because you're paid? Is that why you're a critic? Is it the way you review something? Like, do you look at it as, well, this shot of the film spoke to me, or the score in this particular scene, the direction, the cinema, there's layers to it, because generally when you and I talk about movies or anything really, we don't get that deep with it.
Right.
So I also wonder that, like, does the critic have just more to say, and is that part of it? Like, where we would write maybe a 500-word review, that might be a stretch. They're writing 2,000 words.
Right. Yeah, I think that makes a lot more sense. As being, obviously, it's a weird way of thinking, but being more critical, I guess, and not just saying, like, you and I, yeah. If we don't like something, we'll just say, I didn't like it very much, and we'll just kind of move on. Whereas a critic, they kind of have more or less an obligation to give more of their reasons why those things. And then in a roundabout way, they kind of feel like they have an obligation to the readers or the viewers of someone who wants to go see or read whatever they're critiquing. They have an obligation towards those people to be like, okay, I need to express my feelings to these people, because it's my job to let them know whether or not they should see it or not. I wonder if that's an idea for a critic as well. Is that what they're supposed to be doing? Is telling other people whether or not they should see something, or give their thoughts on it, and then the viewer, she's like, oh well, they're making good points, bad points, and now I need to go and watch for myself and see if they're right or if they're wrong, and then make their own decisions on it. What do you think about that?
Before I answer that, I like Cookie's comment here. I think a critic has a deeper appreciation for the art of filmmaking. I think that's a big part of it too, because they can dissect it in a way that like you and I cannot. I don't think we could try.
Sure.
That might even be fun to do, but I would want to do it with the most ridiculous movie, like Dude, Where's My Car,
The
which I can't stand. But
cinematography.
I'll do it though. It might be fun. But I like what Cookie says here. I do think it's some of that too, the deeper appreciation.
Hmm.
Um, the question I just
The
blanked out.
role of the critic. What's
Yes, yes.
the
So
purpose for
I
why
think
they're
there's been a
reviewing
shift.
something?
I think there's been a shift in it. I think when reviews were stuck in newspapers and you might watch Siskel and Ebert on Saturday night, I think that's when it was much more you should see this film, you should not
Hmm.
see this film.
Hmm.
I think now we've gotten to a point where it is shifted to most critics are these are my thoughts on the film, not you should see it, you should not see it, but this is what I think about it. This is how it spoke to me. It's what I
Hmm.
felt, and you could do with that what you will. But I think when you go look at old reviews in print or again Siskel and Ebert, they're basically telling you, see this movie, don't see this movie.
Yeah.
This is great, this is horrible. And
Hmm.
there's still reviewers today that do it that way. Like there are reviewers who treat some movies like it went on a date with their mother and didn't call her afterward. Like look at the reviews for The Crow, for example. I think some of these they went on Red Lobster dates or something, got disgruntled. I
Mhm.
don't know. Um, but yeah, I think that there's been a cultural shift in the way reviews are handled. Also, we all have a platform now. The majority of people have a platform.
Yeah. Yeah, the idea that like on Twitter or a letterbox, that gives someone a platform to give their thoughts
Mm-hmm.
on anything. And and I think what you and I like to do, is and I don't want to toot in our own horn or anything because it's
Toot.
almost like we're saying like we're not critical enough. We're not smart enough to do those things. We're not diving deeper on it. But for us, it's just here's what we liked. What do you guys like as well? And
Mm-hmm.
the conversation. That's one of the things that I don't know if I want to say dislike, but we turn away from reviews or critical reviews. It's them telling me that they don't like it, but then offering no, back and forth,
Mm-hmm.
with it. So, and like you're saying, the different kind of media, like Twitter is a good, a good and a bad place for back and forth conversation. So that's, you can have, and Nico does that with his TikToks and everything, where you can respond to him and he will respond right back, or and he'll go out of his way to look for other people's reviews.
Mm-hmm.
And like he did that recently with Anthony, our friend, where he sought out Anthony's review of something, Beetlejuice, and said, "Yeah, I know I didn't like it, but I'm so happy you did." So, like the idea for me, like a critic, like even Siskel and Ebert, or somebody on a bigger website where they don't offer a back and forth and they don't get to explain themselves a little bit more, I don't like. But the idea of conversing and having a conversation about a movie is more important for me than just reading or watching somebody say they do or do not like something.
I think that's part of the shift, though, too.
Hmm.
Because now we're more used to being able to discuss these things with more people. Like I can say, "Hey, I love Howard the Duck," and somebody will also say, "Hey, I love it too." And then I'm
You
also
hope
going to get
you
someone
you
that
hope
says,
that happens.
It happens." Then I'll also get someone that'll ask me, "What is wrong with you?" It's just it's part of it. It's a good melting pot. So I,
Hmm.
I appreciate that aspect of it too, the interactions, and then like you said, everybody's gonna, Twitter's a great measuring stick because people are gonna put their reviews and they're gonna say what they want. You could seek them out. You could not if
Hmm.
you want, but it is cool to see what your friends think about stuff you just watched. If you guys both like it, you could talk about it.
Hmm.
If you don't like it and they're a friend, you can still talk about it. You know, that's, um, Eric's got some comments for us. Though the recent
Hmm.
discrepancy on Rotten Tomatoes between critic ratings and audience score on a lot of recent films has been something else. Yes,
Hmm.
that's another thing. And I think this goes in with a different kind of viewpoint on critics in general. They may look for things that we do not. They may expect
Hmm.
things that we do not. I go into
Hmm.
something just wanting to be entertained,
Right.
and I usually look for at least one redeeming aspect in anything I watch. And it's very rare when I walk out when there's nothing like that. Like I think Madam Web is kind of funny, so that works for me. Don't need to watch it again, but it was kind of funny.
Yeah.
And Eric Hall says, honestly, I trust the reviews or opinions of people I like more than anyone else these days. And that's another thing too. I don't really seek out any reviewer like critics' opinion,
Yeah.
other than Nico and Zeddy, who we will consider in that group now because they are actual critics.
We might
But
as well.
yeah, they are a part of it. So I don't actually seek out critics' reviews. And then,
Hmm.
there's also, like you mentioned, there's no back and forth, but we're going to plug another friend here because that's what we're about tonight. Our
Hmm.
buddy Phil Walsh, who does Phil at the
Yeah.
Movies, he has, his show where it's just him speaking for, however long reviewing something. And it always manages to feel inclusive, like you are part of the
Hmm.
conversation. And Phil
Yeah.
also invites you to talk to him about it, whereas you
Hmm.
don't get that with like an official critic online.
Hmm.
So that's another cool thing.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think that, widespread critics, even Siskel and Ebert, do you find them purposeful at this point? Like you said, you don't look out for them, but do you think they are doing a good service towards movies, towards the viewers who are reading them, or a bad service?
I think it depends on the viewer themselves because generally, if I read an official review, chances are I'm not going to take it to heart.
Okay.
I will read it. I could say, oh, that was a well written review. I enjoyed that.
Hmm.
But I don't really care at the end of the day. I mean, that's their opinion.
Hmm.
I would rather go to you or to Ian, Cookie, Eric, anybody else. Like, hey, what did you think of it?
Hmm.
That's just kind of the way I see it. But
Yeah.
there's a place for critiquing too, because you do have those the people who want to hear about the details a critic will talk about. They
Hmm.
want to hear about the deeper aspects of it. That's part of why they decide to go or not go to something. Like Howard the Duck.
Yeah. Especially like Howard the Duck.
Especially like Howard the Duck.
It's Howard the Duck.
Critics also hate the Monster Squad, so
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of another thing, movies that Eric mentioned Rotten Tomatoes,
mhm.
um, movies that don't do well critically, but then have, a high box office or an audience score. It there's a fine line between reading a review and thinking to yourself that, okay, this person doesn't like it and they're a critic. They're important, and I'm just a viewer, I guess I won't see this now because they say not to, or because they didn't like it. And I think there has to be an understanding that just because someone gets paid for it, or they're in high
Mhm.
standing, or they're Siskel and Ebert or whatever, they don't decide your enjoyment of something.
Yes.
No one really does. You have to be able to watch a trailer and say, oh, that looks interesting, or a movie poster, or Michael Keaton's in it. You have to find, like you're saying, you have to find something that makes you want to go see it. And if there is something, then you go and see it. If there's nothing that you find redeemable, then don't go see it. I think there is a fine line between using a reviewer's review, and taking that to heart and making it and letting it
Mhm.
decide if you go watch something or don't watch something.
You got to find your own leprechaun.
Yeah. I guess you do.
Yeah, you got to find your own leprechaun. I also think and I've talked about this with friends before too. It's kind of funny too when Rotten Tomatoes, for example, when it gets a
Hmm.
good score, like, and it's a movie you like, oh yeah, of course, this makes total sense. When it's a movie
Hmm.
you don't like and it gets a good score, why does it have a good score?
Yeah.
Or if it has a bad score and you like the movie, oh, critics just don't get it. It's just funny to me. You
Hmm.
just kind of perceive things the way you want to at the end of the day, and I think as long as you're entertained by what you're watching, it doesn't matter.
I think that's a great place to end on that.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a good time.
all right, Chris. So what'd you get up to this last week? Couple couple new TV shows we've been watching. Get to any movies? I'm not sure if you read anything. I only read one thing this week, so we can keep that short if you want.
We might have to keep that one short because I don't think I read a thing.
Yeah.
I don't think there was a lot of books that I meant to read, of course,
Mm-hmm.
but
But
did I read them?
there's always those. God damn it.
There's always a list, and I keep seeing stuff like X-Men #2 came out, I think 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
I forgot. I
I
think
wasn't sure if you got to Moon Knight something. I saw you post that on your Twitter the other day.
the Moon Knight Moon Knight annual was this week, and no, I didn't get to
Mm-hmm.
it.
Okay.
I'll maybe sometime in my life read it. That is the new level I'm on this time because
Mm-hmm.
my schedule is just not my own. So now it's sometime in life I
Mm-hmm.
will get to these things.
Totally fair.
But I do need to. I want to catch up with the X-Men stuff. There's some Wolverine books I still haven't read. Um,
Mm-hmm.
oh, and some new Ninja Turtle thing. There's actually a Ninja Turtle thing coming this week. I will make sure to read. It's some kind of
Is
crossover.
it? Oh, okay. I was say, where's Ninja Turtles #2? Is it seemingly
Oh, that's what
longer
it
than
is.
I
It's not a
expected?
crossover. That's what it
Oh,
is.
oh, okay. Yeah, I was wondering why it was taking so long. But yeah, this the
Making those
#2. You're
covers,
right.
making 75
Mm-hmm.
covers.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what they were doing. So I didn't read anything. What'd you read?
The only one that I read was Absolute Power #3
Hmm.
this week. So just more of that storyline. Just all of the heroes kind of coming together. I'm not reading the backups, and I'm starting to see that maybe I might be, or I'm only reading one backup. I'm reading the Wonder Woman backup, but I'm not reading the Superman or Batman backup. So there was a moment in this story where Nightwing's kind of leading the team of people, and he's
Hmm.
like, "Oh, Batman and Superman are off doing their own thing." I'm like, "All right, there's those tie-ins where they're off doing their own thing," and I kind of want to know what they're up to, but I don't know if I want to get too deep into it.
Um, well, Ian says he finished Dawn Runner and it was great,
Mm,
and he strongly recommends that. But
mm-hmm,
I'm curious about something and this absolute power thing.
mm-hmm,
Which of the new books are you planning on reading? Because we've seen enough of them now to understand what they are,
mm-hmm.
and I'm pretty close to passing completely.
Jesus.
Yeah, I think I have decided. I just this the more I see it, I'm like, I don't think this is the Elseworld I need in my life for
Mm-hmm.
Batman, maybe for Superman.
Yeah, so I'm going to read Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. Those are pretty much the three, and I know that Lemire's doing the Flash book,
Yeah,
so I'm going to read that. And then he's doing I don't know if it's in continuity with the Absolute or not, but he's doing the Justice League Unlimited
I don't think it is.
book as well, but I don't think that's an Absolute. I think that's just a mainline story. One of the things that I'm interested to see what's happening with the Absolute Power is at the end of #3 we get into multiverse stuff. So I think we're going to start seeing, where these absolutes are coming from and why they're being introduced in general. And then the all ins are going to start. I think all in is very soon, which is like the one shot kind of deal. It's going to bring all of our characters together into the understanding of why the hell this is all happening, or not why it's happening, but why they are making this crossover and why they're doing mainline and the absolutes. So mostly just the three plus the Lemire Flash, just because it's Lemire. I don't really know what else there is in the absolute. I don't
Those
know
are
if there's
the.
a Green Lantern book
I
or
don't think so. I think it's just
I
those for
don't
right
know.
now.
Yeah.
I also imagine they sat down and said, "Well, how weird can we make Green Lantern?" And then they looked at the one that's like a bird. Was it Tomer? Is that his name? And I was like, "Okay,
I don't
well,
know.
it's already been done." And there's a squirrel with a Green Lantern ring.
Yeah, the Chip, isn't it? Or isn't his name
Yeah.
Chip
So
or
I
something?
don't think there's room for like what the hell is Kilowog?
Yeah, Kilowog's the big guy.
No, I know, but like, what the hell is he?
Oh, I don't know, some kind of alien. I have no idea.
Yeah, so it's like, well, what else is there to do here? So that's why I think it's just those specific characters that they're toying
Yep.
with,
Hmm.
and it is what it is. Even I think Wonder Woman's still pretty close to being the Diana movie.
Yeah, from what I've seen, her sword is about the size of two people
Yeah,
put together, and she's got more tattoos. But I don't know why she's different. Much like why Batman is a gorilla. I don't know.
I don't know why, but I saw Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, and some of the stupid lines she has and her facial expressions. Anyway, uh, Steve Trevor, no. Did you miss Minor Arcana, or did you?
No, so it came out physical last week. I got my copy, but I shipped my hold box from my comic shop late last week, so I'm going to get it tomorrow. I didn't want to read it digitally. I only want to read it physical copy, so that's why I haven't read it yet. So as soon as I get it, I will read it.
How far is your comic shop from you?
This one that I'm buying from is in Brantford, which is 2 hours away at least.
Ooh.
So I only buy online with them.
Okay, I was curious.
Yeah. There is a comic shop closer. It's just about an hour away, but they don't have an online presence. So I can't buy online and get shipped to my house. I actually have to go there, and I don't go into stores.
So your comic shop's the close one is about an hour away.
Yeah.
I have the comic store. It's like 5 minutes from me, and I hate going there.
Yeah, I don't like. I hate going inside stores, so I'll just shop online at a better establishment.
Well, I don't mind going inside. I don't mind going inside stores, but they never have like the indie titles and stuff. They only have the main titles. It seems like.
Yeah.
So I'd go there so many times looking for whatever number one.
I think Dracula a while ago. Maybe you couldn't find or something.
Yeah, that's right. They didn't have Dracula. I was like, what the hell, man? I had to go to a different store to track down Dracula, which was a huge book. They probably don't have Frankenstein, but I bet they got Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah. If only.
I know they got that one. Probably got a Bermejo cover we've never seen. It's just been hidden away from the world. It's like a crossover with that and the Monster Squad again or something. I don't know.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so I'll be reading Minor Arcana hopefully this week, and I can talk about it next week.
Is it pronounced Arcana? I thought it was Arcana. Arcana
I don't know.
Sounds more sense.
We'll see if they spell it out for us in the book.
Arcana.
It could be Arcana. I'm cool with it. I like Arcana.
I think I'm Team Arcana.
Team Arcana.
I might also be team illiterate if I can't pronounce it. So.
Yeah, I'm more on that side too most of the time.
Yeah, team illiterate.
Yeah, so that was all. I just read Absolute Power number 3 this week. So that's it for our reads. Pretty quick.
That was a quick one.
Mm-hmm.
Next
what
week,
about your watches?
Actually, maybe I'll read stuff this week. We'll see. The watches were mostly TV. I watched Only Murders in the Building, and it's kind of funny because it took me 3 days to watch a 30-minute episode. Ooh, not because I didn't like it.
That's a rough week.
Yeah, it just every time I would put it on, something would come up. So I'd watch a few minutes of it, forget what I just watched because of distraction, rewatch the 10 minutes, and so forth. So eventually I just gave up and said, okay, I'm pausing it here. I will finish this 30-minute show tomorrow. That's what I did. Great episode, though. I am so surprised by this series because you and I always say, how do they keep doing it? I'm convinced they have sold their souls. Steve Martin and Martin Short have sold their souls because this show still works, even though they've beaten this concept to death. Literally. There is nothing left of it, and it still works, and it just got announced for a 5th season.
Ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. Like we're 2 episodes in, and I think the announcement came in before the 2nd episode even aired.
Yeah, I think so.
So it's like, what are you guys seeing in the back half? Because I want that. I love this show so much.
Yeah, it's crazy that, we mentioned that when we talked about episode 1 and how we both think we don't know how the show is continually to keep work. How they keep it fresh. And the 2nd episode was even more like just the idea of what happened in this episode shouldn't have worked. The way that a certain character was talking to Charles, a character from season 1/season 2 coming back, should have been like, what are you doing? What are you guys doing? But it all worked. And then the weird kooky characters that different characters were meeting in the other side of a building that we haven't even seen yet. Like all of it existed. Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, sure, just throw this on us. And it's 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 just so strange when if you're telling this to somebody, I wonder if you're telling this to somebody for the first time, if they would be like, that just sounds stupid, or
I've
that's
actually
like,
tried explaining the show to people, and they don't
yeah,
understand. And they're like,
yeah.
Steve Martin and what? Aren't they old? Yeah.
And well, how do they keep dying in the same hotel? Like that just sounds weird. I'm like,
And,
yeah, it is.
but you don't really question it when you watch it.
No.
It's just good. So I
Yeah.
watched that, of course. That was amazing. Um, Ian says, I finally saw Alien Romulus. I loved the first act, and the first two-thirds was pretty intense. Or it felt like a bunch of rehashed scenes from the past movies, and I didn't love the final act. Um, I'm processing this. So I've seen this kind of a lot of. I think I've mentioned this to a lot of people. I've seen them say that they feel like it is a rehash of Alien, and like Aliens put together. And I don't really disagree, but I'm also of the mindset if it's not broke, don't fix it. And if you can combine them, cool.
Hmm.
Because I thought Romulus was awesome. I love the third act. I thought the first act, if anything, was a little bit shaky because it took a little bit. It was a little bit slower of a burn, like Alien. That's kind of what I
Hmm.
took from it. To me, they really did just take the best of both worlds with the two movies and smash them together. But I
Hmm.
completely get this opinion. I respect it. It's just not the way I feel about it. And
Does it
I
make
thought,
weird choices? Is that what the this not loving the final act is? Does it do
yeah,
something different?
if you could, Ian, can you elaborate without spoilers? Because
Mm.
there is some I wanted to talk about, but I won't because it is a huge spoiler. But it is one of the coolest scenes in space I think I've seen.
Mm.
Um, Aside from Only Murders in the Building, I did watch Rings of Power, which conveniently you guys comes to our first episode of Elves, Hobbits, and Potatoes, where
Hmm.
we cover episodes 1 through 3 of Rings of Power. But I watched episode 4. This also took me 2 days. This is more understandable though. And
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot in this episode. A
Hmm.
great episode in short. I really enjoy it, and I cannot wait to dissect it a bit more. I don't know. I don't want to spoil anything, so that's why we do the show.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with you. I found the fourth episode my favorite of the four
Oh,
so
did you?
far. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I really enjoyed the latest episode a lot.
I'm
So.
gonna have to rewatch it, but I did
Mm.
enjoy it quite a bit. But
Hmm.
to me, Rings of Power is exactly what I want, so it's kind of hard for them to screw it up.
It
You know,
is. Yeah, that's true.
you're giving me Lord of the Rings on a weekly basis. It, I'm in.
Hmm.
Except for that damn Hugo Weaving. Quick said I caught up on Yellowstone. That show is bananas. What season are you on now?
I wonder if she's all the way caught up.
Is there like 5 seasons?
Yeah, part two of season 5 comes out in 2 months.
Cool.
Hmm.
Ian says it wasn't that it felt like Alien and Aliens. It's that they purposely reenact scenes and use the same dial. Oh, do they? Oh, I didn't even realize that.
Hmm. It's
Okay,
interesting.
I might look that up because I didn't realize that. I gotta be honest. I haven't seen the sequels a lot. I've watched Alien and Aliens, but I
Hmm.
don't remember them as well. And I've only seen the sequels once each, and I don't need to see them any more than that.
Hmm.
He still loved most of Romulus. So yeah, Romulus I thought was awesome. Oh, she's all the way caught up.
Ooh, baby.
I kind of want to watch it.
You should.
Sometime in my life, I will. I have the Penguin to look forward to.
Yeah,
Zing.
that's right. In 10 days.
Yeah, I got that. So excited.
Yay.
I think something else comes out this month that I wanted to watch though.
Not sure.
Also, happy September 8th.
Thank you.
So in the season finale of Interview with the Vampire,
Oh.
Lestat makes the comment, "Did you hurt yourself on September 8th, 1973?" So
Oh,
happy
this is, oh
September
my.
8th.
Oh, that's good.
It's a good while he's holding his wooden piano, his wooden
his,
keyboard.
his wooden keyboard. Thinking about crispy Louie.
Bless his heart. So those are my TV watches. Only We're in the Building and Rings of Power, which both immaculate.
Hmm.
See, 907. She knows.
Oh my God.
She knows. um, as far as like movies, I watched some old stuff. I can't remember what because I'm just on in the background. But I got to
Mm,
Beetlejuice. That was the highlight for me, and I was. It's funny because when you think of movies that need sequels, most of them don't. Especially
mhm,
movies from the 80s, which were wacky enough by themselves. It's like, well, this wacky story is self contained. I don't need
mhm,
more of it. I got
mhm,
it.
mhm.
That's how I felt about Beetlejuice for the majority of my life. And after seeing the sequel, I want a third one.
Mm,
I loved Beetlejuice. It is from the second you there's a song that plays at the very start of it when the screen is still black, I think, and you just hear the notes of the song kicking. You're like, oh, that's
mhm.
fun. What is this about? And then it's funny because you get such a payoff at the end, and it's amazing.
Mhm,
But the movie is just a good time. Like it's funny. The story's not bad. For again a sequel to a movie that barely had a story anyway.
Yep.
I mean, what is Beetlejuice One even about? I guess.
Yeah.
So this one is like it's kind of the same. It doesn't have much of a story, but at the same time, it does have a better story, I would say, than the
Mhm,
original film. And the performances are great. Like Michael Keaton does not skip a beat. I know that he's
mhm,
beloved for Batman. I get it.
mhm,
But to me, Beetlejuice is always going to be the more memorable role because Beetlejuice is just Michael Keaton doing Michael Keaton shit. You know what I mean?
mhm,
As Batman, he's Batman. He's got to follow protocol as far as well. It's comics. Not to say that the Burton ones are incredibly accurate or anything, but still, it's Batman.
mhm.
Whereas Beetlejuice is just Michael Keaton being let off the leash.
Right.
These are Michael. These are things he does to make the character alive.
Mhm,
And so in this one, you see a little bit more of him than the previous movie, but
mm,
he's still not in it. Like he's not the main cast member. I would say, but he's so entertaining, and he kicks it up a few notches here. And he's almost I don't know if I asked this before. Have you ever watched the Beetlejuice animated series?
yeah, I love that. That's the first time I saw Beetlejuice was the
Okay,
animated
okay. I don't remember
show,
if we
yeah.
talked about this or not.
Mm-mm.
So I feel like this movie read the homework or watched that series intensely
Ooh,
because I feel like Beetlejuice is more like the animated Beetlejuice here.
that sounds awesome.
Yeah, he's still creepy and stuff, but he's also just a lot of fun in this one.
Mhm,
I really enjoyed him. Winona Ryder's great in it. It's good to see her back doing something. Jenna Ortega surprised me though.
is she the lead? Is
No,
she the main character of the
no,
story?
it's Lydia.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Lydia is the main character. But Jenna Ortega's character was really surprising to me because when she was cast, I figured, okay, they're doing Wednesday Adams in a Beetlejuice movie.
Yeah.
I think everybody thought that, but
Mhm.
that's not what she is at all. She's just kind of like a normal girl, which I did not expect.
Hmm,
So that was cool. Willem Dafoe's in it; he's fun.
of
The
course.
only issue I have with it is actually Monica Bellucci's Dolores character. I think she's actually useless in the movie. She has probably one of the best scenes in it, and one of the best, like I want to call it a suit up scene ever made.
Hmm.
But she's kind of useless to
Does
the
she
plot.
play a human or a ghoul of a kind?
She's a ghoul.
Nice.
Yes, but yeah, I love Beetlejuice. Cookie says she also loved Beetlejuice. It's fun. I think you'll like it too. The only
Yeah.
this wasn't a problem for me, and clearly not for Cookie either. But I think you do have to love the original as well.
Is it there callbacks to the first one or
There are
just the
calls.
style of it?
No, there's some callbacks, but
Mm,
the way it really does rely on nostalgia.
mm,
This, like I said, the story does it exists on its own, but you do need to know the first movie well enough, and you need to be familiar with it, and most of all, you need to like it.
mm.
If you don't like the original, you're going to have a bad time because it's that on steroids. There's even practical effects. It's really fun.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that. What the effects are like. like very much like the original,
Mhm.
just like it looks just like it, or they updated it in any way?
They've cleaned it, is what I would say.
Mm.
There's certain things that you recognize that just look better, but
Hmm.
it's the same effect.
Hmm.
But they look better. And then some stuff I think is made to stand out and look kind of bad. I think that's the
Hmm.
point.
Hmm.
So it works really well together. I would say it's a nice blend. Also, the score, like Danny Elfman came to work for this.
Oh, good.
He didn't sleepwalk through this one. It sounds
Hmm.
amazing. There's an updated version of the Beetlejuice theme, and I love it.
Hmm.
Cookie
What?
says I felt
Yeah.
nostalgia vibes, but I didn't feel like there was a lot of fan service. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's like fan service, but there's just certain things there I think you need to see, like it just helps when you've seen the original, and then I don't feel like they explain. I don't know how to say this without spoiling. They don't explain why Beetlejuice and Lydia are familiar with each other that well. I think
Mm.
maybe that was just me.
Hmm.
But I mean, I get it because I've seen it. So to me, it
Sure.
was no problem. I would like to know the opinion of someone who has not seen the original. I'm curious how that
Hmm.
would work.
Yeah, it would be interesting if this was their first introduction to Beetlejuice.
Yeah, this or the animated series,
Hmm.
because the animated series is pretty different. I've been watching that
Hmm.
as well. Amazon Prime has a Prime channel where it just plays constantly. So I've just kind of been throwing it on as my background noise.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
still so fun. I forgot how many weird characters there were, like the French skeleton and like the big I don't know. I don't think they ever explained what it is. He's just like a big hair monster.
Hmm.
I don't know if you remember him, the cowboy.
But you don't have to explain anything. It's 90s cartoons.
Yes, '90s cartoons based on adult movies.
I was wondering, what's the sexual innuendo of Beetlejuice like in this movie?
Oh, he's intact.
Yeah.
He's there.
Good.
He's
Can't have can't have Beetlejuice without that.
no, you can't. They don't have a little brothel for him this time though.
Hmm.
But it's there's enough. He really is amazing in this movie.
Hmm.
I really hope we get a third one, just so they can complete the trilogy and call it Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice.
Yeah, that's right.
I think it has to happen.
Does it lead into a sequel in some way, or does it kind of
It
end?
leaves it open ended.
Yeah,
It's more open ended than the first one was, because the first one I think you could say closes the book fairly well.
as far as I remember, yeah.
Yeah, this one is like, oh, well, there could be more, and I want it.
Yeah, you'll take it.
If Tim Burton is involved, it's great to see Tim Burton back doing something I enjoy.
Yeah,
I've
that's what
missed.
the other thing I was going to ask you about, the Tim Burton kind of style of directing. If trying to think of, we talked about Tim Burton a little while ago, and you know, whether or not it's a Tim Burton movie just by watching the movie.
Yes.
Is that how this feels?
Yeah, this feels
Yeah.
like it's a '80s or '90s Burton film.
Hmm.
We are back. We are back. The only thing it's missing is Johnny Depp, and I don't miss him.
That's good.
Yeah, I'm surprised he wasn't in this somewhere though.
Hmm. Is there a role for him that they could have? Like maybe what's his name?
Yeah, you probably could
Um,
have gave him the Willem Dafoe role.
yeah,
Yeah, you probably could have done that, but we don't need him. Willem Dafoe is Willem Dafoe. So
he is he is Willem Dafoe.
yeah, you can't really. Why would you trade Willem Dafoe for anybody else?
Mhm.
He's a scientist. Ian says 145 million at the box office. Glad it's done well after what happened to the Flash. I have a lot to say, but I'm not going
I was gonna say,
to.
can can that be a DC Unlimited rant, Chris? Can you get on your soapbox somehow about that?
I don't know. I don't want to offend Anthony and Phil. Although I think they kind of agree with me on this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I would agree with Ian. It's just kind of, it's good to see that he's not like a soured actor or whatever with the general audience or whatever. Um, I feel like the Beetlejuice character, like this type of movie, is more. Is it a couples movie? Like you go with your couple, or like, I don't know if it's a family movie or not, but I'm wondering about the bigger box office, if more people are going than just like one or two, like a single, or you and your buddy kind of deal.
I actually saw a variety of people in the theater, and what
Mm-hmm.
kind of warmed my heart in a way was children. There were children in the theater, like
Mm.
small kids, and I love that because as a kid I saw Beetlejuice. You
Yeah,
know, I was
exactly.
watching the movie, the cartoon, and I would loved it. I had the toys. I was a big Beetlejuice fan. So to see kids watching it now, whether they get it or not, I thought was pretty cool. Yeah, there was a lot of families in Cookie Theater too. She thought it was cute.
Hmm.
I like seeing that because it's some of that nostalgia that hits home for me too. Because I remember I've seen this. I was, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it's nice to see. And
Yeah, the
I'm
first one came out. The first one for me came out in '88, so I was 2 years old at the time. I don't recall seeing it until at least I was 10 or 12 years old. So sometime in
oh
the
really?
mid to late '90s. Yeah. Um, Trying to think. I can't remember the first time I would have watched it. And I don't remember when the cartoon came out.
The cartoon
Um,
was like 90, I think, or 89.
yeah.
I know I saw the movie when I was really little because I'd already been familiar with it by the time the cartoon came out.
Hmm.
And I had the movie action figures, so that would make sense.
Yeah, the first episode of the Beetlejuice cartoon was in '89, so only a year after the movie. So that's why I would have seen the cartoon. I would have watched the cartoon when I was, 5, 6, 7, 8,
Hmm.
um, rather than the movie when I was a little bit older. I assume my mother was probably guarding me from watching it, the live action one, anyways. So.
I think that it's a good film for all ages. It's a wonderful, wonderful film. And Beetlejuice
Hmm.
is quite a character.
That's for sure.
Ian says, I think Ortega's a big draw too. She's probably one of the most likable celebs at the moment.
Mm.
Yeah, that's another thing. Jen Ortega's a big deal. And I kind of feel like people want to see Winona Ryder back.
Hmm.
I think, fans of her from before are interested in seeing her come back, especially to this role, which most people associate her with. You
I
know,
would think so.
I think it's
Yeah.
this and Heather's. My mind actually goes to her in the movie Mr. Deeds with Adam Sandler, but that's just me.
Of course it does.
That's just me. I love Mr. Deeds. But I think those are the two roles people generally associate with her. So you give them one of the two, this is what happens.
She
Also,
was always in Edward Scissorhands for me. That was always hers.
see, I forget she's even in that,
Hmm.
and I don't mean that in a bad way. Just I think
Hmm.
the character of Edward is so big,
Sure.
and the other characters in there have they have much bigger personalities that I kind of just forget her because she's
Hmm.
just an average person. She's a normal
Sure.
human,
Yeah.
you know. Stranger Things brought her back. I think there are a lot of fans of that show. Oh, you know what? That is a great point too.
Hmm.
A whole other audience is now familiar with Winona Ryder. So yeah, there's a lot to see for anybody in this movie, unless you're a
Yeah.
fan of Jeffrey Jones, I guess. Jeffrey Jones, the father.
I get
Okay,
it.
I wasn't sure.
I'm just wondering about the fans. Who you're thinking of the fans? That's
I don't
all.
know. Maybe he has fans still. I'm not sure.
I
Edward Rooney
don't think so.
himself. I don't know. Yeah, I think you'll like Beetlejuice though.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching it. And I assume it'll be on streaming in about a
October
month
twenty
or so.
second.
Yeah. Is that when it
That's
is?
yeah, it's October 22nd.
Oh, sweet.
The date leaked. I don't know why they're
That's
doing
weird that
that
they
so
announced it.
quickly.
Yeah. Hmm.
Oh, because they have the pre-orders already for the steel books and whatnot, so they got the digital date. Now, if that
Mm,
sticks, we'll see. Who knows? I think that's too early. But at the same time, if I could watch Beetlejuice, and the first one at home around Halloween, I'm not
yeah.
upset.
And that's my thought. I think they're hoping people are staying home for Halloween watching the double feature.
Yeah, well, there's also a lot coming out next month. You have Joker 2, Venom
Hmm.
3, Terrifier 3, some other stuff. Salem's Lot finally hits Max in
Oh my
October, I
god,
think.
I'm so excited for that.
I am very, very excited. Yes.
Hmm.
It's probably going to be terrible, but I'm very excited. I have no hope.
I gotta have high hopes, man. High hopes.
Ian says Rebel Ridge on Netflix is a decent watch. The lead, Aaron Pierre, is incredible in it. I saw someone on X saying he should be Blade, and I totally agree. I don't know what this movie is, but I've seen people talk about it constantly, and I have seen this guy. And my immediate thought when I saw him was, "Hey, that looks like Blade." So I'm with you. I haven't seen it yet, but just based on his look, he looks like Blade.
I think from what I know about the movie and the trailer that I watched, it looks like Rambo: First Blood.
I've seen people compare it to Rambo, and yeah, that seems to be what it is. I'd
A
like to
good
check it out.
Netflix movie. Crazy.
Yeah, how often those even
Never heard of
happen?
one of those before.
Other than Hitman. And what's the Chris Hemsworth Extraction 1 and 2? Those are
Ooh,
good.
yeah.
Those are really good. Yeah, I like those. To hell with the rest of them.
To hell with the rest of them.
Until Knives Out.
Yeah, that's right. $600 million movie.
Yes, I do not understand the streaming model at all.
I don't
We sunk $500 million into this movie. Now we're going to throw it on a streaming service where people pay $10 a month to share
That's
with their
right.
friends.
Oh man.
What did you watch?
So I watched more of what the hell is it called? Terminator Zero. It's taking a while for me to watch it, not because it's not good, just because a lot of things happening. So it's friggin' great. And one of the I always think it's funny, but the Terminators in police stations just feels right in some way, shape, or form. The first one, he kind of goes for a man's huge slaughter of almost every cop in Los Angeles in a police station, and that happens very much so. And I think it's the 4th or 5th episode. Just kind of one of those things that just feels right is Terminator murdering people in a police station. So that's always a good time. But the story is basically everything that's happening right now, and that has me excited for this show. The action is very good, the voice acting is very good, but the story and we talked about this last week, and the idea of like what's happening on the other side of the world when Skynet goes live, and that's what's happening at this point. But then there's also this other AI that's been introduced in this show that's becoming more and more interesting. And that's where I'm just really excited. It's like the story, and even the story of where the characters are going as well. There's kind of a couple of groups right now, and one of them in particular is very, very interesting in relation to robot cyborgs, AI, and that kind of thing. So the story is so good in the show, and also the way that each episode ends. They're kind of and I think I've watched 6 so far, and in about 3 of them, they've kind of been cliffhangery types.
Oh, okay.
One of them literally ends with the bombs being dropped from Skynet and all that kind of stuff. So it's
the
like, oh,
Judgment Day
that's
bombs.
exactly.
Okay.
So all that kind of stuff is just really, really interesting, and the way that they're ending the episodes, kind of leaving you wanting more and more and more. And I just, every time I sit down and I have a few minutes, this is the show that I want to put on.
Oh, that's cool. That's high praise, actually.
It's a very, very well made show. I know I'm still trying to wrap my head around the anime style, which is tough. Still, I said I needed to give myself, some time to get through it. But one of the things I don't know, and maybe Ian, you've watched a lot, is just the violence of an anime show is quite violent. Chris, I don't know if you know that or not.
Castlevania is insanely violent. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's the anime thing in general. They're just graphic in anything that it does.
Mm-hmm.
Like Castlevania had sex scenes in them, and they were wildly graphic.
Right.
And the violence was graphic, so I guess that's just anime. They can do it, so they do.
Yeah, it's just in one scene there's kids kind of crying and hugging it out, and the next scene the Terminator's in the police station just mowing people down, and there's blood and guts everywhere.
I thought you were gonna say the Terminator killed the crying kids.
Yeah, almost.
That's what I thought was about to come out there.
Yeah, almost.
Ian says,
yeah, so
violent.
Yeah, so again, I've never really watched a lot of anime, so just that's surprising to me how it can go from kind of an emotional, serious moment with some kids crying, father son type of stuff, and then on the other side, there's just complete and utter gore, like straight up gore.
Wait, I like the sound of that. But
Yeah.
if you want to, I would say like a calm anime that I'm familiar with would be like the
Mm.
Studio Ghibli movies. I would really suggest watching Spirited Away, and that's like a
Yeah.
whole family kind of movie.
Hmm.
And it is, I'm gonna use the word lovely tonight.
Yep.
It is a lovely film. I
Hmm.
love Spirited Away. Ian says my kid used to watch Demon Slayer, which is made for kids. That's pretty bloody. I've heard of that, but I don't know what it is. It's very familiar though.
Yeah, don't know that one. I think actually think my daughter might have watched some of that, but I don't.
To me, it's more adult.
I never watched it.
All anime I've watched, like even the Witcher one, was insanely violent.
Hmm.
Not a
Hmm.
bad thing, but it does take you back a little bit because, I mean, you're not American cartoons aren't or American animation isn't really like that.
Right.
So it definitely, you know, you're watching something different.
Hmm. Ian, do you think the Terminator Zero would work if it wasn't an anime style and just like regular American, North American animation? I wonder what you think about that idea because I'm
Cookie
not
said
sure.
Cookie says they Netflix canceled Dead Boy Detectives. I may never recover. I need to watch this show. I think it's something that'd be up my alley. Did you watch any of this?
No, I only know about it from Doom Patrol, where the
They're
Dead
part
Boy
of Doom Patrol.
detectives. Yeah, they show up for a few
Okay.
episodes. That's really the only thing that I knew. And then they went to Netflix, and I figured it was going to get canceled. They're, a DC show, not on Max, not
Well,
under the WB umbrella. I figured they would get canceled, but I
Netflix
think
is bad
I
with
think it'd be a good time.
cancellations.
Yeah, exactly.
Is Terminator supposed to be one season, or do you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I hope it's not. I hope to keep. I hope by the end of it they leave it open for some more. Just how good it is, but I don't know that for sure.
Everything I've heard about it makes me want a movie of it. But
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
think like
yeah,
on film they can't break away from John Connor and that whole thing. It's kind of like the
that's right.
Skywalker saga.
Yeah,
I think the anime show, Ian says, I think
obviously,
the
yeah.
anime style matches the themes of the show with it being set in Japan.
Hmm.
That's
Totally
fair.
fair.
Although I do wonder what okay, see if they did an American Terminator though, it'd just be about John Connor.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's keep it anime.
Hmm.
Unless it's Edward Furlong. If it's Edward Furlong, I'm all for it. Let's bring him back to life. I'm in.
Exactly. Back to life.
Bring him back to life.
Not John Connor back to life. Edward
No, no, no.
Furlong back to life.
That's who's gonna. That he's the leader of the resistance, Edward Furlong. Everybody watched the movie called Pecker. It's a good time. It actually is.
Oh, Jesus. Um, so, and one of the things we watched last week, we watched Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And it's funny you mentioned Howard the Duck. And we obviously at the end of Guardians 1, there's the Howard the Duck reference.
Mm-hmm.
He's stuck in the thing. So we're watching 3, and the Howard the Duck's playing poker or whatever. And we were watching it with my son, and he goes, "Oh man, this guy again."
What?
I just laughed to myself, saying, "It's so funny. He's annoyed of Howard the Duck already."
No respect for the classics.
Yeah,
That's terrible.
I thought it was so funny though.
Ian asks, are there good American cartoons that are violent?
Good question.
I don't know. I don't know if I've ever seen an American made animated show or movie that matches the violence of an anime.
Hmm.
I
I don't
think
know.
like the one of the Ninja Turtle series was pretty violent.
Hmm.
But I mean they weren't like slicing the Foot Clan in half or anything. Although I would love to see that. I think that'd be really cool. But I guess that's
Hope
Last
to
Ronin.
get to see
So
that soon. Yeah.
that's kind of Last Ronin. So that's cool. But
Hmm.
no, I can't even think of an animated like an American animated thing. Oh, Invincible. Yeah, okay, Invincible counts. Sure.
Hmm.
I would say that's the one I could think about. I mean, I didn't even think about it, you did, but that's the only thing that I would say is comparable as far as I know.
Such a tricky thing trying to make cartoons feel adult without
Well,
making them look like kid cartoons, right?
have you seen the trailer for that animated Lord of the Rings movie, The War for Rohan?
Yep, and that's an anime type of style, right?
It seemed like it. I knew that the
Hmm.
trailer was out, but I just didn't get a chance to watch it. And I saw Beetlejuice last night in IMAX.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that looks really cool. I think that's gonna be a cool the Lord of the Rings detour this holiday season.
Hmm.
It doesn't. I think it takes place years before the movies, of course, as everything seems to, and I'm cool with that. But it just looks really neat. I'm excited.
Hmm. Yeah, the War of Rohirrim or something.
Something like that. It's
Yeah.
whatever started something, and there's anger. Brian Cox is in it. As soon as I heard Brian Cox, I was
Oh,
like, oh, Lord of the
yeah.
Rings and him. Yeah. How do how do I sign up 3 times for this?
I hope he's grumpy.
He is, judging by the trailer. My sweet boy,
Sweet boy.
my good time boy.
Yeah, so Guardians of the Galaxy 3, we watched that. Fucking incredible movie all the way around. And one of the things it's done for me and my son is now he loves No Sleep Till Brooklyn, the song from the Beast Boys.
Ah,
That song plays as they're kind of going into the ship to save Rocket and stuff.
yeah,
So
the hallway fight.
yeah, that's right. No Sleep Till Brooklyn is now on our daily rotation on the way to school. So I can dig that. Um, and I watched Bad Boys Ride or Die
Oh, okay.
this week.
This doesn't look like it's going to a happy place.
It was very hard to get through.
Yeah.
Martin Lawrence, his character was the most annoying movie character I've seen in a very long time. Um, Everything with his heart attack, and then afterwards, and like or even before that, like the opening scene where he's getting the Skittles and the hot dog, and mostly the jokes in this movie were not funny to me, at all. Aside from that, I think one of the things that I was excited to see were a lot of the action scenes,
Mhm.
like that one with Reggie, kind of in his house, and it just does the stuff with the cameras, and stuff like that. Um, yeah, the first two are pretty okay. Ride or Die and Bad Boys for Life are. I think I like Bad Boys for Life, not horribly, from what I remember. But yeah, it was something about Ride or Die with the type of comedy that Martin Lawrence was doing was just not working for me. I think they tried a little bit too hard, with the comedy, with the goofiness, and with the
Mm.
everything with his heart attack and his visions, and like the donkey and all of that stuff.
Even the donkey was
Just
funny.
yeah, it just didn't work for me. Aside from the action, which I think was very cool. Like
Yeah.
the gunfights, I thought were great. Very, like there's the one, I think it's in the last one with the first person kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
gun with that Will Smith has got. I thought that was quite interesting and something I'd never seen before, which is always an interesting thing when you're watching a
Oh,
movie and saying, "Oh, I've never seen anything like that before."
there's been a movie that's
Um,
completely from first person. It was an action movie.
yeah, what's it, something Charlie or something? It's called
I think it was called Hardcore Henry, actually.
Hard. Yeah, there you go. Henry,
I think that's
Charlie,
what I think that's what
all
it's
the good
called.
stuff.
Hey, Hardcore
Yeah,
Charlie. That's the sequel I heard, or the prequel.
yeah, that's right.
Maybe it's the Lord of the Rings
So
movie.
so I like the kind of the switching the back and the forth between it. It's like it's looking at his face and then it switches to the gun.
Mhm.
I thought that stuff was all really cool. The plane, the kind of the plane action scene where the plane's going down.
Mhm.
They're trying to rescue Will Smith's character's son out of the cage. Action was pretty much all there for me. The comedy was just not it, and there was just too much of it as well. Too much comedy, too much Martin Lawrence character. Um, but I like the side characters. I like Rhea Seahorn. She plays the U.S. Marshal. I like her from Breaking Bad. It's kind
Mhm.
of interesting seeing somebody who's like an office
That's who
clerk
she
kind of
is.
role, and like she's holding a gun and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
She's not so it's just kind of that took a little bit to get used to, is seeing somebody who plays a lawyer to then play a U.S. Marshal. But I like that they bring back a lot of the same characters. Like they're kind of their crew with Vanessa Hudgens.
Mhm.
They're like the hackers and all that kind of stuff. So I like the little mini universe that they built for Bad Boys. Just stick to more action. I will say that.
More action, less Martin Lawrence doing Martin Lawrence stuff.
Agree. That's exactly. I would like that.
Ian says I laughed out loud quite a bit through Bad Boys 4, which surprised me. I grew up with the movie, so I felt like that helped. Yeah, I actually did not have a problem with the humor. To me, it
Hmm.
kind of felt like a natural progression because Martin Lawrence was always over the top in these films.
Sure.
They always played Will Smith as the straight man. I do think it
Hmm.
was amped up here. I do agree with that. It was amped up,
Hmm.
but I didn't have a problem. I'm
Yeah,
glad you
like
liked the
there's a
rest of
scene.
it though.
Yeah, like there's a scene in the second movie, I think, where Martin Lawrence character like he gets like ecstasy blown on him or
Yeah.
something, and like he's high and all that kind of stuff. So like that character is a goofy character.
Hmm.
It's just something about this one was a bit too much. Like there's the thing with the Skittles, like they're in that one gunfight and like the Skittles are going up in the air and he's opening his mouth and like there's like Kool-Aid and he's drinking it and like he's got his tongue sticking out and like the Kool-Aid's like sloshing off of his tongue. It's like, oh, okay, that's just tone it down a notch.
It kind
Just
of makes
one
you wonder: is
notch.
this made for adults or children?
It's definitely like like a teen movie. It feels like they made for the teens. That
Like,
kind
dude,
of
where's
thing.
my car?
Yeah, that's right. With really good action scenes.
Dude, who's the villain?
Yeah, so Bad Boys, Ride or Die. Yeah,
I don't know what it's
um,
called.
yeah. I really like the first two, and I'll watch the second one a lot. I like the action a lot in that one,
Hmm.
specifically when they're driving in Mexico, just driving over people's houses and those Humvees. Towards the end, that's always a good time.
You like the destruction of people's homes. I
Yeah,
see.
that's right.
That's terrible.
That's right.
You're horrible.
I'm horrible.
Horrible.
Yeah, so that was pretty much my one new watch. I kept meaning to watch. I keep saying it with long legs, but I have this like this itch to watch Maxine, Chris. I don't know what it is.
You
Um,
do that. You do that on your own. I support you. And I salute you. You do that on your own. I'll watch Long Legs again. Something that's actually good.
um,
And I know I think Cookie will agree with that as well.
I know
Long
she will.
Legs over Maxine.
I know.
I'd rather watch Madam Web over Maxine. Madam Web at least makes me giggle.
Yeah, that's right. No giggling in Maxine.
No. And if you do, it's for the wrong reason. But if you like it, that's cool. Everybody enjoy.
I don't expect to. I just need to see. I need to see what the hell it's all about.
Does anyone watch Trap? Worst movie I've seen in a while after Maxine. No, I haven't watched Trap, but I want to. I think it's on streaming
Same.
now. So I was actually going to get to it this week if it's on streaming. I want to
Hmm.
see it.
I want to check out the other one, Watchers
There
from
we
M
go.
Night's daughter. I
I
think.
hate Maxine with my whole chest. That's what I'm talking about.
Chest.
Yeah, I saw the Watchers. I was actually interested in, but
Hmm.
it came in. A lot of movies just came and have gone this year
Came and went.
already.
Yep.
So I'll check that out also on streaming. The only movies that seem to have staying power are like Deadpool, Wolverine, Inside
Hmm.
Out 2.
Hmm.
I think that's it. I think
Yeah, it was like
Beetlejuice.
Furiosa came and went.
Yeah, Furiosa. That really went fast. Didn't even
Hmm.
have a chance to see it how fast it went.
Yeah.
Yeah, whenever you do watch Maxine, if you get to it, we are going to need to speak about it.
Hmm.
I'm not watching it again though to compare notes. I'll just do it from memory.
Yeah, maybe this week.
Watchers is awful. Dune 2. Oh yeah, Dune 2 kind of came. I keep forgetting Dune 2 is out this year.
It came out too early in the year.
It did, and it's so long, so you kind of forget about it. But it
Hmm.
is good, or I like it, and I know you
I'll
don't.
keep wanting to forget about
Mm.
it.
Enjoy your Maxine.
Yeah, that's right.
Enjoy your Maxine then.
All right. I think that's enough for tonight, Chris. Where can people find some more of your thoughts about Michael Keaton being better as Beetlejuice than Batman?
You said it, I didn't. You guys can follow me on Twitter at thatchris70. I do a bunch of different stuff. It's all on there. I would love it if you'd follow this show though at G of the Geeks. Evan is better with the rest of the plug, so he'll kindly take over.
You can follow me on Twitter at EmmettDavis7. Gathering of the Geeks is available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. All you have to do is search for Gathering of the Geeks, and you'll find us right there. Yes, if you haven't already, go to wherever you get your podcasts, type in Gathering of the Geeks, and look for our first episode of Season 2's coverage of The Rings of Power, Elves, Hobbits, and Potatoes. It's all over your podcast feed. Excuse me. So we will have a new episode out for you this week, covering episode 4. Make sure you hit us up with some likes on wherever you get your podcasts and where you're watching right now on YouTube. A like would be appreciated. Thank you to Cookie, Eric, and Ian for watching this fine show this Sunday. And in saying all that, for Chris and I'm Emmet, and we gather on Sundays.
End of session.